Hello, everyone, and welcome to the College Admissions Collaborative highlighting engineering and technology college fair. We are so excited to have you participating in this event. We have some fantastic schools here with us today. My name is Kelsey, and I will be your facilitator. Before we get started, let's go over a few housekeeping items. Your camera and microphone are off, so the panelists cannot see or hear you. But you can use the Q&A button on your screen to type your questions to our presenters at any time during the presentations tonight. This is just one of the many different sessions happening, so feel free to check back within the week. And then, of course, this presentation is being recorded, so feel free to check strivescan.com/CACHET. Thank you all for being here tonight, and I will go ahead and turn it over to our presenter, Lafayette College.
Hi, everyone. My name is Kathleen Williams. I'm the Director of West Coast Admissions for Lafayette and the liaison to engineering at Lafayette. I could not be more excited than to have you here tonight to learn about STEM at Lafayette and to have our Director of Engineering with us. Lafayette is both an engineering and a liberal arts school. The combination of these two is super powerful to employers. It's why, for example, in engineering alone, we're number 6 in the country for CEOs of Fortune 500 companies. So without further ado, I'm going to turn it over to the master who knows so much about STEM at Lafayette, our director, Scott Hummel.
Thanks so much, Kathleen, and welcome everybody. I want to just thank you for joining us tonight. It's been some beautiful weather here in Easton the last week or so. And it's just a beautiful time of the year. So if you get a chance, please do come out and see us if you get that opportunity. Our contact information is on the screen now, and this will be at the end of the presentation as well. One of the things I like to do when in these sessions is take a really high level view and think about what is STEM, what is engineering, kind of what is it all about. So that's where I want to start tonight, is just think to yourselves kind of, what's the purpose? What are we trying to do? And when I ask this question, I often get the answers of engineering and STEM. It's science is about solving problems and building things, developing technologies. These are absolutely things that engineers and scientists do. But I really believe that engineering and science has a higher purpose than this. And that is, it's really about people, and it's about making the world a better place for all of us, for all of the Earth's inhabitants, really helping people to live longer, happier, healthier lives. I just love this image right here of these two kids playing baseball. The one kid obviously has 2 prosthetic legs, and you could tell that they are not thinking about his prosthetic legs at all. They're just completely engaged in the game, which is exactly what they should be doing. And the technology is helping this little guy live a better life and live the life that he wants. So and that's really what engineering is all about, and science is all about. It's helping people live longer, happier, healthier lives and making the world a better place for all of its inhabitants. So that's really the place that we at Lafayette come to engineering and science. It's not necessarily about the stuff, as I like to say. It's not about the things or the processes. It's really about moving society forward. And what better place to do that than a place like Lafayette that is a liberal arts and engineering school. So really it's that joining of critical thinking as well as the technological part of it. So, and the results are absolutely amazing. If you think about the impacts that technology and engineering has had on society, everything from water access, clean water. When water is not clean in a place, it makes national headlines, which it should. But water access has been something that engineers have been thinking about for a long time. Energy, security, recreation, pharmaceuticals. I mean, things like the vaccines, all these things are just amazing the way they're helping to move society forward. One of the things that I like to talk about when giving these presentations is water access. So let's think about water for a second. So of course, water is something that every person on the earth needs in order to survive, and engineers are really quite good at providing water. I mean, it's something that the Romans and the aqueducts, the Romans built these huge aqueducts in order to bring water into a city with 1 million people, and that was over 2,000 years ago. It's pretty amazing the way they were able to do that. today we absolutely do that as well, and we can do it at various scales. We can do it for a city, we can do it for a town, you can even do it on the individual basis, where I've done a fair amount of backpacking, and one of the things when you're hiking, when you're camping, water becomes really critical, and having clean water, drinking water, is really critical. You can only carry so much water on your back. So in hiking, what we do is we have filtration systems. The most interesting ones now are these little lights, and you have your water bottle, and you put this light into the water bottle, and you turn the light on, and in a minute or so, the light kills all the bacteria in the water, and you can drink it. It's one of these things that the first time you do it, you put it in there for a minute, and then you take it out and you say, I'm not sure that worked. And you do it a second time just to be sure that you got everything. But it's really amazing. And so the question I want to have for you tonight is, if I've convinced you that engineers and scientists are really good at cleaning water from the individual basis all the way up to the city scale, then how come, as we're on this call tonight, how come every person around the globe doesn't have fresh water to drink? That's an interesting question. There's certainly technological aspects to it. Desalination and all of these technologies, you have to design them to fit the needs of where you're applying it. But there's also other issues involved. There's politics, financial, access, so there's legal issues. There's all sorts of issues that are layered into the water solution. So if we're going to move the needle, and keeping in mind the purpose of engineering and science is to help people live longer, happier, healthier lives. So if you're going to move the needle and help more people get that fresh water, you need to understand something more than tech. Because if you have the best technology going, which, let's face it, in water technology, we have that, but we still can't provide that fresh water for everybody. There's more to it than just the tech. So at Lafayette, this is sort of really into our wheelhouse of educating the whole person, both the technological and well-rounded. So that's really what kind of the overall theme that I want to talk about tonight, and some of the big picture items of Lafayette. So STEM at Lafayette, of course, you have analytical skills. Those are your skill set. And the truth is, and this may be news to many of you, but the skill set, the analytical skills that you learn at Lafayette, here in Easton, are the same that you'll learn in Bethlehem, in Blacksburg, Virginia, at Purdue. I don't care what school you go to, whether you're talking about an American school, you can be talking about in Europe, the Far East, the Middle East. It doesn't matter. Technology, the science is the same, right? Thermodynamics is thermodynamics everywhere. Structural engineering, the same laws that apply to structural engineering apply everywhere. So the skill set is largely the same that you're learning from one school to the next. So what is the difference? Think big picture, to take deliberate risk, the ability to communicate and collaborate, work on teams. These are all part of the mindset that we teach our students. And so the combination of the skill set and the mindset is something that we really work on hard at Lafayette. And that's because we're both an engineering school and a liberal arts school. So what I want to do now is talk about a few key areas here. So I'm going to talk about each one of these individually: the research, study abroad projects, and degree offerings. Let's start off with degree offerings. So let's take a peek in there. Oh, and before I do that, one thing I want to make clear is Lafayette is undergraduate only. There are no graduate students at Lafayette, not a single one. It's not that we couldn't offer a grad program. We could absolutely do it. In fact, it would probably be in our financial best interest to do so, to have master's and PhD students. Because after all, when you're at schools with a university where they have master's and PhD students, those are the students that are teaching the labs and many of the courses that you take at Lafayette. All of those are offered by faculty. So we'll talk about more of that as we go along. Oh, the one thing I wanted to add, if you have any questions, please feel free to type them directly into the chat. If it's something that, and Kathleen Williams will get to those. If it's something that I can answer quickly, Kathleen will just chime right in and I can answer those questions. If it's not, we'll get to those in the end. So feel free to type into the chat any questions that you might have as we move along. Happy to answer those questions as we go. Okay, so let's get back to it. Let's talk about the degree offerings that we have. So at Lafayette, like I said, it's an engineering and liberal arts school. So we have these 4 divisions of the school: humanities, sciences, social sciences, and engineering. In the humanities, we have, this is just really a sampling of majors. It's definitely not a complete list. I would urge you to check out the website to look at a complete list of our academic offerings, but these will give you a sense of the breadth of offerings that we have. So everything from art and theater, philosophy, film and media studies, lots of foreign languages, including German and French and Spanish, among others, religion. So these are all of the humanities. And again, there's more of those. In the social sciences, we have a long list: A&S, anthropology and sociology, women and gender studies, policy studies, environmental studies. Again, lots of different areas to study within the social sciences. Let's see, we also focusing a little bit more in the sciences and engineering, because that's really what this talk is about tonight. So here's a partial list of some of the science programs we have at Lafayette. These are really fantastic programs. If you'll notice, our psychology department is in the sciences, not the social sciences. Our psychology department is very much a hands-on program. They do a lot of testing in that, a lot of experimental testing goes on. So it's in the natural sciences, not in the social sciences. Computer science is part of the science division as well. They offer a Bachelor of Arts degree and a Bachelor of Science degree. The Bachelor of Science degree is, of course, ABET accredited, and there's lots of interesting combinations too. So you'll see in here, there's a math degree. Back in social sciences, we have economics. That's one of our biggest programs. And you can earn a math econ degree. That's a really interesting combined degree program in that field. Neuroscience is also one of our larger programs. That's just a fabulous program. Many of our students who go into pre-med are doing biology or neuroscience. So in engineering, we have the following engineering programs. We have engineering studies, which is actually a liberal arts program in engineering. It looks at the connections between technology and society. That is offered through the engineering division of the college, but it is not an engineering program per se. We also offer electrical and computer engineering, mechanical engineering, civil engineering, and chemical engineering. And our newest program is integrative engineering, which is really a platform for our multidisciplinary programs in bioengineering, robotics, environment and energy. So all of these programs will kind of get you where you want to go. If you want to go to graduate school in bioengineering, you can absolutely do that through our integrative engineering program, or you can go to mechanical engineering graduate school through our mechanical program, aerospace engineering through our mechanical program. Lots of great opportunities to do that. In fact, University of Michigan just contacted me yesterday. They want to recruit our mechanical engineers for their naval architecture program, kind of an interesting niche area of engineering. Okay, so those are the various engineering programs that we have. We've been doing engineering for a long time. Civil engineering was our first program. We began offering civil in 1865. So that was now 156 years ago, we opened up our first engineering program, and we've been at it ever since. So these are long-standing programs. The integrative engineering program, like I said, is our newest program. That's been around it's in its 3rd year right now. That program will be accredited after the first graduate. So there'll be a graduate in 2023, excuse me, the first students will graduate. We'll call in the accreditation agency, and they will back accredit anybody who's already graduated. So accreditation in engineering is sort of backwards looking. So you can't become accredited, and this goes for all engineering schools. You can't become accredited until you have a graduate, and then you back accredit anybody who's already graduated. We've been accredited since 1936, which is when accreditation in the United States started. So we know what we're doing. We won't have any problem with that. Let's see. So let's talk about double majors and minors and switching majors and things like that. As you can imagine, we have students with broad interests come to Lafayette. Kathleen and I were talking just before we started the call that one of our students, our current mechanical engineers, is also majoring in theater. And as interesting as that is, it's actually not uncommon. We have many students who double major in things that are what I call orthogonal. So you have an engineering or a science major and a social science and humanity. Those are really interesting majors. Things like mechanical engineering and art. That's one of my favorite combinations. So a mechanical engineer that wants to work for Tesla and gets a minor or a double major in art. That's a really interesting combination. Or chemical engineering and economics. These are really interesting combinations. You know, a chemical engineer with a minor in chemistry is really not that interesting. But a chemical engineer with a minor in economics or Spanish or something like that is a much more interesting combination. So minors are available in essentially every program at the college. So that if you look at that list that I showed before of all the different programs, pretty much each one of those offers a minor. Minors are 5 or 6 courses depending on the program. Getting a double major is possible at Lafayette and still graduate in 4 years. Lafayette's absolutely a 4-year school. So most of our students by a long shot graduate in 4 years. And a double major is possible to do in 4 years if you come in with a handful of AP credits. If you have 5 or 6 AP credits, you can typically double major and make that work in a 4-year plan without too much difficulty. Switching majors is an interesting thing at Lafayette. We're the only school that I know of works this way. Because we're Lafayette College and we don't have colleges or schools within the institution, students can move freely about the cabin is the way I describe. So if you're looking at somewhere like I mentioned the University of Michigan, so I'll pick on them. So let's say you go to the University of Michigan or virtually any other school that you might be looking at. When you apply to that school, you're not only applying to say the University of Michigan, you're also applying to engineering, and you might be say applying to mechanical engineering. If you want to switch, you have to apply. And what that means is you have to apply, and the school can and will say no, and they can say no, and they will if you're moving from an under-enrolled major into an over-enrolled major. At Lafayette, we can't do that. We won't do that. We have no mechanism by which to do that. So if you decide you want to switch your major, you literally just tell your advisor and start taking classes in the other major. It is as easy as just signing up for different courses. So there's no admission process, there's no application process, there's no paperwork to do that. After your junior year, if you want to change in your junior year, which usually we try to not have students doing that because hopefully they've made their mind up by that point, then there would be a sheet of paper that you have to fill out just for the formality of it, but it has to get approved. There's no approval process. It's really to let everybody first or sign a sheet of paper to fill out to make that switch, which makes it kind of difficult for me as the director of engineering making the schedule, but it's fantastic for the students because you're free to pick your major at will. So that's a really great feature for students at Lafayette. So study abroad is something that Lafayette is a national leader. We send approximately 1/3 of our students per year from engineering to for a full semester of study abroad. So I'm going to focus really on the engineering study abroad because study abroad is available at most schools for most majors, except engineering. So our engineering study abroad is in Madrid, Spain, or Bonn, Germany. It takes place in the 2nd semester of the sophomore year. So again, it's the spring semester of the sophomore year. Students can go to Madrid or Bonn for the semester. There's no additional cost. We take care of everything from your flights to and from either Madrid or Bonn. We take care of your student visa. You're on a meal plan. We take care of tuition. Whatever you would be paying at Lafayette is exactly what you will be paying to go to Madrid or Bonn. All of the course instruction is in English. Everything transfers back, so you still graduate in 4 years. It's very much fully integrated into the Lafayette engineering experience. And like I said, about 1/3 of our students a third of our sophomores in engineering participate in this program. 2/3 of the students are still in the sophomore class, are still on campus, kind of, going through the regular program, but a full third go on these programs. In order to qualify, you need a 2.8 GPA. And as long as you have that, we will guarantee that you have the opportunity to study abroad. So it's really an amazing experience. If you do speak the language, let's say you've had a couple of years of German in high school, that's fantastic. You can absolutely, so students with language experience are given preference to the program. So if you're a German speaker and you want to go to Germany, you kind of get first shot at those programs. But we do guarantee that we will provide you with an opportunity to either Madrid or to Bonn. So that's really a great experience. Another third of our students go on interim or summer trips. So we call it the winterim. So either winter trips or in May. And those are really all over the globe. So for instance, the geology program, they run a great trip out to, they do the Grand Staircase, where they start at the top of Pikes Peak and they work their way to the bottom of the Grand Canyon and talk about the geology along the way. They also run an amazingly popular trip down to the Galapagos Islands, and they go through the animals down there, and they also go through the geology. So that's an incredible trip. But these are all over the globe. They're in Australia, in Western Europe. There's some, like I said, the one is in Colorado, so that's in the United States, and they're around the globe and across the US. So those are great opportunities. Those are not included in standard Lafayette tuition and room and board. So the winterim and the summer trips are additional cost. So research is something that I do want to talk about. So let's think about this for a moment. I said that at Lafayette, we don't have graduate students, but think about research for a moment. So all of our faculty are research active. So what do I mean by that? So let me talk about my research for a minute. So in my research, I investigate wear methods for stainless steels used in surgical applications. So I don't actually do the wear tests. I develop wear test methods. So the test method that I've developed is called a galling test. It's used on measuring the wear resistance of stainless steel that is not lubricated. So if you think about something like the engine of your car, the engine of your car is so well engineered and so well lubricated. There's splash, and it's called splash lubrication. You have this oil that's splashing around, that's just, bathing all of the parts in oil constantly, which is fantastic. So and that's why engines last so long. In the operating room, it's not that way. So there's not the instruments that are used in orthopedic applications are not they tend to not be well lubricated. They tend to get cleaned in an autoclave, which washes all of the lubricant out, and often that they're reused without being relubricated. And you can have some pretty significant wear issues in these instruments. So it's hard to imagine, but an orthopedic instrument used in surgery has more wear on it than the engine of your car. Again, that sounds kind of crazy, but that's absolutely the truth. And so I've developed, with some students at Lafayette, we developed a test to measure the wear resistance, the galling wear resistance of those types of stainless steels. It's called the ASTM G196. And after my talk, if you type into Google ASTM G196, you will see that it is a standardized test method. It's used around the globe. It's considered the best method for this particular type of wear. And it was developed at Lafayette with undergraduate students. So this kind of thing is common at Lafayette, where faculty include undergrads in their research, students like yourself. Now, why would we do that? Why don't we bring in master's and PhD students? That would be certainly they have a lot more experience than an undergraduate, than a college student. So why wouldn't I bring a master's student or a PhD into my lab? Because we don't have any. It's undergraduate only. Now you can see why we opt not to have graduate students at Lafayette. It's not that it wouldn't be in our best interest. We don't believe that it's in the students' best interest. So we focus purely on the undergrad. So everything I talk about tonight is for the undergraduate students. Everything, if you come to campus, it's all for the undergraduates. We are absolutely 100% focused on that mission, not graduate students, not master's and PhD students. So when you're looking for a research project to work with a faculty member, you're not competing with those students to work with faculty like myself and all the other faculty in engineering and in the sciences and really throughout the college. So you're not competing with them, with the graduate students. So there's lots of opportunities to do research with faculty. In fact, we pay students to do research. So I have a student who's working with me right now. She worked with me over the summer too, and this was her summer job. So she was paid to work over the summer. She stayed on campus, lived in college housing at no cost to her. So it was really a great opportunity, which is going to put her in a great position when she goes on to either go to graduate school after she graduates Lafayette or into the job market. She's got this incredible experience of working on research. So that's really a terrific opportunity. So some examples of some projects, I'll just show you some images here since we're not able to go to campus right now. So in the upper right-hand corner, that's Professor Lindsay So, and she's working on a research project developing biodiesel for home heating oil. So this is kind of an interesting local project. So in the Northeast of the United States, many homes are heated in the winter by what's called home heating oil. And home heating oil is sort of like it's basically a diesel fuel. The problem with diesel fuel, especially if you're going to use it, in a furnace in your house, it tends to gel. So if it gets cold, like, when they're delivering it to your home and it gets cold in the truck, it tends to gel and it becomes so thick. This is biodiesel, that biodiesel you can't pump it through a pump and through a tube in order to feed it into the furnace. So it doesn't work particularly well. So she's working with some students shown in that image and they're looking at the gel at the top of the beaker there. So they're looking at ways to eliminate the gelling of biodiesel. The student group in the lower right-hand corner, that's our national championship steel bridge competition winning team. So Lafayette is a major force in the civil engineering community in developing these steel bridges. So you can see they're sitting on that bridge right there. That bridge can hold a Chevy Tahoe, believe it or not. Okay, a full-size Chevy Suburban it's not wide enough to hold it, but it can hold that much weight. And they can assemble that bridge from its parts in about 3 minutes. So it's really an amazing thing. We are the national champs in 2018, 2019, and then this year we came in second place nationally. And that's against schools with graduate schools from around the country. So we're really proud of that team. In the lower left-hand corner is a student working on a prosthetic hand. He was doing this for his capstone project. In the upper left-hand corner is the Open Dog Project. So this is an open source robot that we are working on with schools from around the globe. What we're doing it, and then we upload our improvements. Our goal is that this robot, which is large, I mean, this thing is as large as is as big as a large dog. And our goal is we want this dog to walk around and be able to operate the elevator for student tours as they come through. Some other projects and spaces, of course, in the upper left, we have the Formula race car. This is a perennial project at Lafayette. We build one of these each year. The one in that image right there, that is a gasoline-powered vehicle, but now we've moved over to electric, of course. In the center, this is a really fun project. There's a little bird there, and you can see on his left foot, there is a little band. That band has a little transmitter in there, and they're doing some bird counts to watch how birds, this is a biology faculty member and an electrical and computer engineering faculty member, built this antenna array that can sense these birds as they come in and out of these feeders and houses in this area, and they're doing bird counts with them. It's really fascinating. Upper right-hand corner is our student society for environmental engineering and sustainability. lower left, or excuse me, lower right is a faculty member, the department head of chemical engineering with one of her research students. In the center is this amazing project between psychology and electrical and computer engineering, as well as the integrative engineering program in robotics. And they're doing this robotics project that is, the robot is controlled by thought. So you can see this student in the front, he's got this kind of funky hat on. That hat is picking up brain waves, and he is controlling a robot through his thought. So there's no joystick to kind of move the robot around. He's literally just thinking, turn left, and the robot turns to the left, turn right, and the robot comes back. It's really kind of wild to watch. In the lower left is this really cool machine. It's called the Maroon Monster. Lafayette is maroon and white. And the Maroon Monster, that is a 8-inch high by 6-inch wide piece of concrete, reinforced concrete that they've cracked in there. And they do a lot of work with the Pennsylvania Department of Transportation on testing different designs and whatnot for the roads and bridges in Pennsylvania. So it's really some fantastic classwork and research that go on with the Maroon Monster. Some other projects, I'll go through these pretty quickly. In the upper left is a shock tube. This is part of the research group doing stuff in aerospace engineering through mechanical engineering. In this one, so they set up these shock waves. It's basically, I guess it's the world's largest potato gun, if you know what a potato gun is, and they can fire shock waves down this tube at about 1,200 miles per hour. It's really amazing. In the lower left-hand corner, that is in chemical engineering. That's a separations unit. It's an industrial, small-scale separations unit to do testing and prototyping. Upper right-hand corner is a student working on on pharmaceutical research with a faculty member. And in the lower right-hand corner is a faculty member doing work. I think that was also an aero type work. And in fluid flow, they're looking at fluid flow through a jet engine, I believe there. In the center, those are projects that are done in the lower one is in the robotics program, and the upper one is in mechanical engineering. So lots of hands-on projects. And this is our newest hands-on project space is called LeopardWorks. There's a printer array farm on open printer, 3D printers that students go down there and use at their will. There's also a laser cutter down there and a vinyl cutter and a couple other pieces of equipment that are there for student use. So there's lots of opportunities. It's really you can feel a hands-on kind of gritty space for students to get involved and work on different things. Let's see, so there's lots of expansion and renovation going on at Lafayette. There's new learning centers. We just built this incredible learning center in mechanical engineering. It just opened 3 weeks ago. It's really amazing. You can see in this image right here, this is an actual picture, not a rendering of our Rockwell Integrated Sciences Center. This is an amazing space. This is the little atrium area. You can look up through the staircase up through 5 stories of the building. It's just an amazing place. Lots of natural light, as you can see. It's actually built down the hillside. Lafayette is built on a hill, and this building is kind of in the back corner of the facility. From the front, doesn't look that big, but it's an enormous building because it goes down the back side of the hill. It's really an incredible space. There's LeopardWorks. That was the image I just showed you earlier. Lafayette are the Lafayette Leopards. And there's lots of, like I said, there's major renovations going on in engineering. We're building we're adding an addition to the engineering center starting in December. We built some new dorms recently. So these are images of the new dorms in here. There's a diner in sort of the lower left. You can see people on a corner right there on the bottom part of the screen. In the center, that's where there's a new diner right there. And on the left-hand side, there's a couple people on the corner. That's where the new bookstore is. So this is really an amazing facility there that has just opened very recently, just opened last year. Some fast facts about engineering, and then we'll get to some of your questions. Engineering is ranked 13th by US News for schools that are undergraduate focused. About 75% retention rate within the STEM majors, meaning that 75% of the students that start in STEM, about 75% graduate with a STEM degree. The other students go to places like, humanities, social sciences, whether it's economics, English, whatever that might be. But we have a 75% retention rate within STEM. We are nationally recognized in engineering for gender diversity. We're in the top 20 for percentage of women students, and we're in the top 10 for the percentage of female faculty on our staff. About 85% of students graduate in 4 years. Like I said, Lafayette is absolutely a four-year school. Many schools, especially large state schools, tend to not be four-year programs where many students are taking 5, 6, 7 or more years to graduate or not graduating. That is absolutely not the case here at Lafayette. About 85% of our students graduate in 4 years. The next stat is kind of an odd one, a 98% job placement rate within 6 months. So at graduation, 6 months later, 98% of our students have a job, a permanent job, not something like, working, an odd job, but I mean, working in an engineering firm or working, in a permanent job. 98% are either in a job or in graduate school within 6 months after graduation. I will say though, please don't be impressed by this number. And why would I say that? 98% sounds so great, and it is. But the truth is, in things like engineering and the sciences, it's largely market driven. So whether you come to Lafayette or some other school, jobs are not why you pick to come to Lafayette or to some other school. It's really the other fit. It's how well the school fits and how well you feel like you'll get a sense of belonging there. It's not a matter of getting a job in engineering 4 years later. You're going to get a job. There's just no doubt about it. All of our students get jobs. It's just, the job market has been great for decades. That said, we do have a fantastic career services center. They're always ranked in the top 20 in the entire United States for all colleges and universities. The program is a well-oiled machine. We have these externships, they're job shadowing experiences that students do in the first and second years. Those lead to internships. Students get internships usually it's between their sophomore and junior year and between their junior and senior year. Those lead to full-time employment. Lafayette does not do co-op. I'm not a big fan of co-op, particularly for engineering, where co-op is sort of an interesting way to go to school. It's certainly not a traditional way to go to college. And I think one of the primary reasons people go to do co-ops is so that they're insured, or they feel better about getting a job on the backside. The truth is, like I said earlier, you're going to get a job on the backside with a science or engineering degree. So there's really not a reason to do a co-op in order to back yourself into that job. So I think the rationale for co-op in an engineering and STEM fields is a little shaky relative to other fields where the job market's not as robust. But again, I think reasonable people can have different views on that. I'm just not a big fan of co-op for engineering. About 73% of med school acceptance rates for students with a 3.6 GPA or better, and about 64% med school acceptance rates for students with a 3.2 to 3.59 GPA. What I'm going to do at this point is turn it over to Kathleen to just walk us through the next.
Terrific. Thank you so much, Scott. Are you able to hear me okay?
Yeah, we can hear you fine. Do you want to turn your camera on? There you go.
Yeah. So great. Thank you so very much. First of all, there was a question in the chat box that I answered to the student who sent it, but just wanted to let you know, Lafayette does not admit by major, nor do we admit by division. So you don't have to, try to put down a major that you think might be easier to get into at Lafayette than something else. We really truly believe that if you are accepted to Lafayette, you can be any major you want. You could quite literally put down art and take introduction to engineering and say, oh my gosh, where's engineering where's it been all my life? And Scott would say, hello, welcome to engineering. So just know that you don't have to game the system with us. We are a school that does a holistic review. If you are accepted, you can be anything you want. The reason I work at Lafayette, quite frankly, I watched my daughter go through Lafayette when I was still practicing law in California, and this is the school that is the land of opportunity. It is also a school where our motto was the Marquis de Lafayette's motto, Cur Non, which is Latin for why not. So my daughter took a bazillion AP courses, not one in the sciences, for example, and yet came to Lafayette as a policy studies major, always having read about Dan Ariely and Malcolm Gladwell's books about behavioral economics. Needed to take a lab science because we are going to have you take classes of your choice from different divisions. Took introduction to neuroscience and said, if I want to understand human behavior, maybe I should understand the brain. So graduated with a BA in policy studies, a BS in neuroscience, all in 4 years. Well, what do you do with that? Well, she got a job from on-campus recruiting, working for a firm that designed software for medical clinical trials. Turns out a Lafayette and a Swarthmore guy started that. Well, 60% of our students will report that their first jobs were somehow through a Lafayette connection, often through alumni. What is she doing now? Well, during COVID, she got a master's at Penn in behavioral and decision science, and she now knows she wants to do something entrepreneurial in the healthcare space, so she's at Duke getting an MBA. I tell you these things to tell you that this is a school that is the land of opportunity. Malalan Vasu is a student from India for us, comp sci major, but he did Excel research in the summer, again, living on campus for free, getting paid to do it, with the head of policy studies, Mark Crane, who was looking at the opioid epidemic and needed a guy who really was, or gal, happened to be a guy in Malalan's case, who was really good at data. So Malalan has worked with him. He's now going to be published, or has been published now that he's his junior year. It's finished. So know that it's not just within the sciences per se. You can go into the natural sciences and the social sciences, the humanities and engineering to do all this kinds of research. So we're well represented across the globe. If you know anybody from the Dakotas, or you are from the Dakotas, please call us. We really, those are the 2 states where we seem not to get too many apps. We're Division I for athletics. If you Google football rivalries, the rivalry is the Lafayette-Lehigh rivalry. These 2 schools have played each other more times than any 2 schools in the nation, having played their 150th game to a sold-out crowd of 50,000 people at Yankee Stadium, with the Empire State Building lit up on one side with Lafayette colors and the other side with Lehigh colors. So know that you don't have to go to a big school to get big school spirit. That rivalry, it even continues into STEM, for example. So last year there was research competition for engineering, head-to-head, Lafayette-Lehigh. Happy to report Lafayette 1, 2, 3. Lehigh honorable mention. 2 of those students are now at Stanford getting their PhDs. So 1 in mechanical engineering and 1 in chemical engineering. What are they also doing? They're teaching first-year classes, but not at Lafayette. You get somebody like Dr. Hummel teaching you. 96% of our students, 96% of our students live on campus all 4 years. You can get permission to move off senior year, but when they move off, they move like 2 blocks away. They don't even move to downtown Easton, which you can reach by stairs from campus. This is not a campus that empties out on the weekends. So also see there's a chat in here. You've been torn between math and economics and engineering. So a student says that. Well, what's even more terrific than that is we have math as a major and economics as a major. And you can do those 2 majors, and in which case you're doing a lot of theoretical math, or we have a major called math and economics, in which case it's more applied math. So definitely can still be done. Take some planning with engineering. Just know that, as Dr. Hummel was saying, as with anything, we don't want you starting this your junior year, right? We want you trying to plan this out, and you'll have an academic advisor and you'll have a career counselor, and those people will help you right from the get-go. Next.
Kathleen,
yeah.
For a student who's interested, like Liam, who talked about math, economics, and engineering, what we recommend is that the students start in engineering taking ES 101. So you would take ES 101. So this is the standard first semester for engineering students is ES 101, that's intro to engineering, calculus 1, chemistry, and a first-year seminar. And this way, and even if you decide, look, I want to be, and then in your second semester, you would take an economics course. And then you can make a more kind of informed decision about the direction that you want to go. And all of the courses that you've taken, like if you decide to take economics, well, your engineering course counts towards the common course of study in economics. So it's not like you're taking courses for nothing. It's all going to count towards fulfilling your general education requirements, regardless of which of those three you choose. So that's actually a really good example.
Exactly. In other words, you could kind of double dip for some of them.
Yeah, exactly.
Your schedule
Exactly.
together. How much time do we have, Kelsey? I see that you've popped onto our screen.
Yes, it looks like it is just now 8:44, so you have about a minute.
I'll talk fast. We're a common application school. We do a holistic review of you. We're also one of the few schools in the nation that meets 100% of demonstrated financial need. We also have merit scholarships, 10, 15, 20,000, half tuition and full tuition. If you are an American, you need to fill out the FAFSA and CSS profile for financial aid, not for merit consideration. We're an early decision school. So if you love us, apply early. November 15th, there's absolutely no downside to that. Regular decision is January 15th. We are test optional for the next 2 years for all majors. I know there's often a question about that with engineering or the sciences, but no, test optional. I had a student of mine from the UK who, because I also have an international territory, she is a Marquis fellow, meaning full tuition, did not scholarship, because she's amazing, did not turn in her test scores. So transcript, we will recalculate your GPA to a 4.0 scale, because we know that lots of schools do different things with AP, IB, and honors classes, and we really want to level the playing field. Glad that you're here, because demonstrated interest is important to Lafayette. So also we highly recommend interviews, and you can do that virtually, sign up virtually on our website with a senior, almost always a senior in college, so you're talking to another student. Woo, how'd I do, Kelsey?
You did great.
Right. Perfect. So please get in touch with us. We're delighted that you're here. I'm here to answer any questions. That's the general admissions website, but I do have the coolest email on campus. So I am Willikat, WILLIKAT @lafayette.edu. And Professor Hummel or I are here to answer any questions that you might have at another time. We are so grateful that you're here today, and thank you so much.
Yep. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you. Before we leave, I'm going to go ahead and share my screen one last time, just to let you all know that we are thankful that you have joined us. And then before you leave, there will be a quick 5-question survey. Please feel free to fill that out. The feedback is very important to us. Feel free to sign up for more sessions throughout the week. And then this recording will be available at strivescan.com/CACHET. Hope you all have a great night. See ya.
Thank you. Bye, everybody.
Thanks so much. Thanks for coming.